G'day, it's Noxa here, and the other day Docm and MethodZz were inquiring about an idea for an airlock that was a bit more fancier than obviously just signs, because that's boring, and used redstone and pistons and whatnot. So, as it conveniently happened, I previously designed one that did just that, and so I've just done a few tweaks to make it even better. I've actually got two designs here. There's the fancy one, the Deluxe model, which is a 3x2 door, and obviously it's a bit bigger, less compact, and fancier. Whereas this one is the little one. It's a 2x1, it's less fancy, it's actually a lot faster to travel through, super simple, super compact. So I'm going to show you both of those now. It's a big, nice chamber you swim into, you press this button, or note block, the door's shut behind you, the water drains out, and then the door's open. Once that's done. And from the other side, it's exactly the same thing. You waltz on in, press the button, the water flows down, and the door's on the other side open. And if you happen to be outside and you want to go in, you press this button and wait, play some elevator music, and the door's open, and you can go in. Again, press it. And once again, if you're in the water and want to get out, same thing, there's a button on the other side. I think you get the point by now. So basically there's three buttons and they all pretty much just switch which side's open. And it's really nice in that it's spam proof as well. Like if I go pressing this and go, actually no, I want to go out, no I want to go in, no I want to go out, no I want to go in. It's not going to break it and get it mixed up where the water's wrong. It'll just wait for the whatever state to be necessary, and then the appropriate door will open. So it's really nice like that. And the circuitry that does it is actually quite a simple concept, and it's really nice. Now, the miniature model, again, it's not as fancy as that, because everything happens instantly. You just waltz on in, you press the button, whoosh, the door switch, the water goes. So again, it's faster. It's actually a better design if you think about it, more practical. But again, the point of this isn't to be practical but fancy. And again, it's buttons on either side, each button swaps it. So again, if you're on the outside and you want to go in, press the button, waltz on in, press the button, you're in. See how it works. Let's start with the small model first, because that's way simpler. And this is the tweak I just did, linking all the note blocks together, which makes it even smaller as well. So let's just show you the logic first of all. You have a note block, an observer, powering another note block, which is your inside button, and the same thing on the outside. A note block, and observer. And basically, it just works because of, as you know, observers make a quick pulse. So we observe that observer, but observe that note block and then observe that observer, and then the power goes into our two dispensers, which need to be down here. And then just behind that, I'll grab an iron block and our two sticky pistons, like so. And that's really all the logic there is to it. This is just so beautifully simple. Grab some redstone, whack that on top. So you see whichever of these note blocks I click on, it gets activated, the pistons spit and the dispensers spit, and that makes them swap. So all you have to do is build the blocks for the doors in the appropriate place, one of them in, one of them out, and obviously fill up all the blocks around and put water in the dispensers, and that's it. And obviously build a nice frame for it. So that is just so simple all on its own. For the Deluxe model, let's just first have a look at how the logic works, because that helps you to understand how it works. So you got your input, which we'll just use as one of these again, and that goes into a T flip-flop. So for this case, I'll just build your basic redstone block design, so every time you hit that, the redstone block changes places, and I'll just put that there to shut that up so it's not so annoying. And then that goes into an input circuit. Here we have our standard comparator fade out pulse extender, and this is very beautiful. because when you turn it on, it goes on, and when you turn it off, it'll go off after a certain amount of time. I'm sure you know how these work, and it's very easy to adjust the length, which is also important. But the cool special advantage about these is that if before they've gone off you turn them on again, they'll just go back on again, and that timer gets reset. So what we do is we actually have two of these, and one of them is powered when it's on, like so, but the other one is inverted to be powered when the system is off. So let's see if I can do an example of that here, like this. And this one we've got a slightly longer delay for. So that means that when you switch it, both circuits are on. Let's just use some pistons will do fine, actually, to demonstrate that. So say these are your doors. Yeah, you can see they both get extended until the fader of one side dies out, in which case that one retracts. So, and that's basically how the system works. And then after that, all you need is, I believe I used an observer to detect, we'll just put it there for now, when the system switches. And let's just use a piston to demonstrate the water. And a nice watery block, that will do. So that means the water switches every time, just like with the mini version, but with the doors you get this delay. So to actually fit it in here, it's got a pretty clever layout which fits under here. You've got the T flip-flop up the back, and you can see, so you got your note blocks, and behind this is the other note block. So these three observers here, here, and here all power this piston, which is the T flip-flop. And this goes in, there's two repeaters there, and that goes into, just like we had back there, you've got a repeater into a block with a torch. And you've got the one fade out circuit, this is the short one for when the water's filling up, because that doesn't take as long. And on the other side, it goes this way, and this is the long one. And the ones on this side go into this torch tower, which powers the door, and this one, which powers the external doors, or the dry side doors, I should say, because whether it's external or internal depends on the situation. And much the same, this one, again, it goes up to two torch towers, which power the appropriate set of doors. And then you have the observer up here, which detects, and it sets up a chain of observers which add a little bit of delay, which is just enough that allows the doors to close nicely before the water actually changes. And then they just power there's two pairs of dispensers up there. And yeah, just like we saw, you just wait, and it's just about enough time. So you close the door, door shuts, and you can see those observers gave just enough delay for the dispensers to fill up before the door opens. And yeah, the comparator timings, so that you've got the 4 comparators on draining, which is just enough time to allow the water to drain comfortably, and there's only 2 for when it's filling, because that happens quicker, and that's just perfect. So you have your 2 frames, which are 2x3 door frames, and there's 5 blocks in between, and we want to put in the doors, so let's just go pistons. So there'll be 1 block back from the frames on each side. In our note blocks, so on the outside, obviously you need to leave a gap so it goes past the pistons, and if you're going to have a block under it, it's good to do it now, because otherwise it'll send an update, and I just like to put a little frame around that, but that's mostly an aesthetic choice. And then 1 in the middle as well, so once again should be right in the middle on that same side. And then we get some observers. And just basically stick one on each note block. So in the front of the two external observers, you put a solid block, then a piston facing down in front of the other one, and you put your redstone block on that. And you should be able to see that every time you press either note block, that redstone block switches positions. Alright, so with the redstone block in its down position, you just stick a block in front of it, then two repeaters into a block, and under that, two more blocks. So we want to have redstone dust, then a repeater, then a block, then a torch. And just note that this block here will be the floor of the chamber, so make it out of the appropriate material. Alright, so on the side that is going to be the dry side, we put down a 3x3 of blocks here, and dust there, and the comparators go around this way, and then that way on the other side, and on this side it goes into a block, oops, and block there, and wire, so comparator powers that block and the dust. And then on this side, the block and a repeater on two ticks. Alright, on this side, in front of the repeater, we have a block with a torch, with a block, with a torch, with a block, with wire. So that should power all three of the pistons on that side. We use this block that we've already got, stick a torch on it, block above that, torch coming out this way, and that should be in here with a block, and then wire. And that should power those three doors. Right, now for the circuit on the other side. Next to this torch we have a wire, and then in here we go this way with a comparator, two dust, another comparator into a block, and here on the outside of that block you stick a torch, block, torch, block, and dust, and when that's on, that will power those three pistons. Alright, on this side we have just add a block there and a repeater. This time just leave it on one tick, and then a block with wire on top, and that goes into another block which has a torch, this time going inwards, then a block with a torch on that, and once again a block with dust on it, and that should power the other three pistons on that side. All the doors connected, so we can just test that out, give that a flick, and those ones close, and then after a while these ones should open. And vice versa. Those close, and then after a while these ones should open. And you can test that all these should do the same thing, but they should. The dispensers to handle the water. So to do this, we put a redstone dust on top of there, and that needs to be blocked off so it doesn't connect down there. And then we just stick an observer above this torch, which is observing that redstone dust. Then we go up three more observers into a block, and this time we need to use slabs here so that these don't power the pistons, into some other blocks with repeaters on them. So to put the dust on those slabs, and in front of these repeaters you have our four dispensers, all pointing downwards, and that should do that. So we can now test. Oops, do not do that. That was interesting, but yes, you can test. If you press the button, you hear the click go this time, and the doors open. again, click, and it opens. And then from there on, it's just a matter of filling in the room. Obviously, you don't want this all flooding, so you build a floor. You build it out of whatever. You could use glass if you actually want to see the workings. Some walls. Nice to put in some lighting, so you could use some sea lanterns in the middle here. And you need blocks above where the doors are going to be, and obviously you actually need to put in the actual doors. And that should about do it. Obviously if you're going to have water on the outside, you need something to contain it, so let's just use some glass, make a tiny little tank for now. Obviously if you're building this underwater, you've probably just held back the water already. And put some water in there. It needs to go into where the door frame is. And there, and just there. And you can just switch it up. The easiest way to do this bit is to just put the buckets of water straight in the dispensers. And once they're all done, it should work just like a charm. You go in, you swap over, and after the appropriate time, the doors open. If you want to switch it up from either side, it works. And there you have it. All you have to do is decorate it however you like. If it's built into a wall, obviously there's not much to do. You can just build a wall around here. All these blocks on the ground could just be top slabs if you wanted it to be slightly more compact. And you can build your roof above here, or even flat with here if you don't mind seeing that. Obviously you need to cover up the repeaters. If you actually are building it anywhere near water, you've got to be careful it doesn't flood. But that's the gist of it. And obviously have somewhere where you can actually reach the button. But if you really need an airlock to get into a tank this small, then you've got problems. Alright, that's it for me. Here's my two beautiful airlocks, the simple one and the fancy one, and both of them work very, very well for the intended purpose. See you guys later.